Uh, Brilliant. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this webinar where we are going to look in detail at one of the Raising Attainment with Wellbeing new modules. We're calling it Preparing Young People for a New Digital Age. My name is Marius Frank. I work for Microlink, but this course has been brought to you in partnership with Teaching Times. Teaching Times and Microlink have worked on this project for a number of years now, and I'm going to spend a little bit of time going through what RAW means. The reason why we're here today is an unprecedented acceleration in terms of the digital world that we live in. The last 5 years has seen the pervasive reach of our AI or artificial intelligence hit nearly every aspect of our lives, whether we like it or not, in terms of social media, apps, and for children, smart toys, for calling. In the old days, you used to worry about call centers. Now we worry about whether you're actually talking to a person or not. Um, the world's changing. The world is going online, and we have to prepare our young people for a digital future. There's no question about it. And so it's about when do we start? And we say you've got to start early. You've got to start early, and then onwards through secondary school. So that's what we are going to be spending most of our time on. But first, I think I need to introduce you to what raising attainment with well-being, or RAW as we call it, actually is. We began our journey back in 2002. We wanted to address the social and emotional state of schools. We wanted to look at how professional development is delivered to frontline professionals. And we wanted to explore some of the new paradigms coming forward to address this advantage, to close the gap, if you like, to remove barriers to learning and participation. Because if we do that, we hit a sweet spot. And we called it raising attainment with well-being. And our thrust was well-being. 5 years ago, you could have felt unwell looking at the number of different definitions that are out there of well-being. So one of our guiding principles was to fix on a meaning for well-being. And the meaning that we actually clung to was this: well-being in schools, it's about the social and emotional conditions that enable a school community to thrive. Yes, we're feeling pretty smug, aren't we? Because now thriving and belonging is part of the Ofsted framework, is part of government thinking. We got there about 4 years before they did. But it is about the social and emotional conditions that enable a school community to thrive. And one of our guiding principles also was an appreciation of the neuroscience that is deep within our brains. And this is an absolute biological, neurobiological fact. An anxious, angry, or frightened mind will not learn effectively because of things like the amygdala hijack, because of the vagus nerve, because of the sympathetic nervous system. There are reasons why learning gets blocked. And that can happen inside a person, however outstanding the teaching is. There are so many things that are happening out of control of the teacher under the surface that is stopping learning from happening effectively. And if we fail to appreciate that, we fail to appreciate what our young children are going through. And I don't think we fully appreciate what it's like to be neurodivergent either. So many learners who are neurodivergent do not feel that sense of belonging in schools. The British Dyslexia Association, for example, suggests that up to 70% of learners with dyslexia go unnoticed in schools. Wow, wow, wow. And that does have a huge impact. Let's not forget our staff, because a teacher's working conditions are a student's learning conditions. If we look after our staff's well-being, we look after the school's well-being, and let's not forget our leaders either. This is what we stood for when we first put this program together. Now, back in 2022-23, we were rather horrified by the rates of suspensions and permanent exclusions across the country. If you look at that figure for suspensions and divide it by the number of school days in the school year, which is around 192, we get 4,000 suspensions a day, the highest number ever recorded. And that was back in 2022-2023. The last set of statistics nationally for 2024 to 5 showed 5,000 suspensions a day. Permanent exclusions, biggest reason, persistent disruptive behaviour. Young people on free school meals or on special educational needs, well, they are overrepresented in the statistics. Why? Well, we felt that some young people were trapped in a web of conflicting, complex needs, when special educational needs might be conflated by physical, mental health issues such as fetal alcohol syndrome, such as the impact of low self-esteem and emotional well-being. How about trauma, neglect? And other young people had that the triple jeopardy of being in poverty, maybe in precarious housing, maybe uh, family dysfunction, maybe children looked after. We used the communication iceberg to illustrate the problem. And that is, you might see lots of things that are unacceptable in school communities above the surface. But what you don't necessarily see are the reasons for that child to behave the way that they do. So often, a lack of self control leads to children already in difficulties making things worse for themselves. There needs to be a degree of emotional regulation. And if they don't get emotional literacy and emotional regulation from the home or at school, when will they get it? So these are some of the principles that got us to think about this program. And how about new paradigms to address this advantage? Um, an analysis from the Fisher Family Trust showed that between 2008 and 2016, that bottom line, the most disadvantaged young people, that's young people who've been on free school meals for the whole of their time in school, have made little progress in terms of their GCSE results compared to children that hadn't been on free school meals. This was such a compelling graph. The government has not been publishing figures since then of this type. Who do we want to? How do we want to? Why? Well, I'd just like to introduce one of our poster girls, Joanna, Year 9 student. Um, Down syndrome, got a detailed EHCP, but here's her using some assistive technology for the first time, and I hope you can see the smile behind the mask. We are driven by the social model of disability. That is, the world disables the person. And if you can change the world around the person, you can make a difference. We want to move from equality onward to equity. Equality is giving every kid an iPad. Equity is giving children with identified special educational needs an iPad. But hey, let's get rid of the fence. And that is creating, there's the word environment, there's the word culture, and the classroom practice that empowers children to learn. And that way, every young person who's disabled by circumstance survives. And we think it's because our children deserve nothing less. So Those were the fundamental design philosophy that drove Raw, because it shaped preparing young people for a new digital age. So, Raising Attainment Wellbeing is a course that can be commissioned through TeachingTimes. Um, or you will get a copy of this PowerPoint, and as you can see by my cursor, if you click in certain areas, you go to websites, and you won't need any links at all. So when you get the PDF for this, all the links are embedded. The If you like, the pedigree of achievement of raising attainment well-being is quite outstanding. We use some of the best information of the time. Uh, Unbelievable people like Professor Catherine Weir from Southampton University, who highlighted whole school and staff capacity ways of raising attainment through well-being. We brought the course alive, and we did it in an interesting way. We produced a number of modules which focus on different elements of raising attainment with well-being. An introduction for school leaders. Number two, looking at well-being and a principle of core strength. In other words, looking at how we can build resilience, confidence, and self-esteem into learners of all abilities and with all sorts of barriers to learning. Number three was critical, making sense of behavior. We don't believe in the phrase that every behavior is a communication. Far from it. It's not. We want to make sense of behavior. We want to explain why behavior is the way it is for certain young people. We then also wanted to look at changing culture and climate. That is so critical because there are 100 things a school can do to influence culture and to change the climate. And then we also featured a whole range of ideas and innovations which could accelerate your development. Within those 5 modules are standalone study programs. It's a little bit like offering a school community 20 to 25 inset days worth of material in one place. Now, clearly, one person in a year cannot cover this. One school in a year cannot cover this. However, think of it like a Nordic smorgasbord. It's a smorgasbord of possibilities. You can pick and choose your own route through this, prioritizing certain areas and ticking off others. But in 2026, we have 2 new modules to offer. We have 6, a program which highlights the importance of physical health and well-being to overall mental health and well-being. And of course, number 7, preparing young people for a new digital age. That's where we come in. We also wanted to turn on its head, really, how professional development occurs in schools. We sincerely hope that your inset days do not look like this. We really hope that people don't gather around looking at a 2-hour PowerPoint and then are sent off to change the world. That simply doesn't happen. We embrace the coaching model, the coaching mentality, driving shallow learning to deep learning to profound learning, an expression of self, intuitive and fundamental to the identity of the person. And we do it by using the best practice in terms of staff development, the IGTP approach. The first bit is to instill insights. That those instilled insights will motivate goal-oriented behavior. We give opportunities to develop techniques, and that lead to embedded practice. And if we just take one of our modules and we look at the individual bits in a module, you can identify areas where we can instill insights. You can also identify areas that motivate goal-oriented behavior. And then around that, we have embedding practice activities. And one of the things we want to stress is that you can coach in a one-to-one environment, you can co-coach with your colleagues, and if you've got the right thought structures and frameworks, which is what we promote, you can coach yourself, producing that profound shift. We have a needs analysis, which gives you a range of statements about well-being in schools. You self-grade from 0 to 10. 0, oh my God, we don't do it. 5 to 6 is, well, we do it. We've got a bit of evidence for it. 7 is where we want everyone to be. In other words, there's widespread effective practice against that comment. And there's a bit of headroom when you've got some excellent practice to share with others. By having RAW as a smorgasbord of possibility, it enables a leadership team, for example, to program different elements of RAW into different terms progressively, so a school can shape it around its biggest areas of need. You can also use RAW in a way that targets individual groups of teachers so that everybody doesn't have to study the whole thing, but it is all aligned to a direction of travel that you're in. We've had so many schools enter the program and get silver and gold awards, which are hard earned and well won. And what's great about raising attainment well-being, because we designed it with well-being in mind, it is aligned to the school improvement imperatives of the day. In the UK, that is around resilience, around well-being, around inclusion, around thriving. And we have a big SEND reform process underway as well. All those three elements come together, and we hope we hit that sweet spot with RAW. And what's wonderful is that those design principles were fundamental to us preparing this module. We didn't, set out to do something about digital learning off our own backs, but we really did think about some of those fundamental philosophical issues, really, about securing the lifelong well-being of children and young people in a new, uncharted digital age. Bit of audience participation now. What I'd like you to do is this. I would like you to think about what are your biggest concerns. If you're a parent, what's keeping you up at night? What do you think is the biggest challenge at family, school, or national level? I would welcome you to leave your thoughts in the chat pane now. I'm going to pause my presentation just for a little while, and I would absolutely love you all, please, to put a little comment in the webinar chat, and I'm going to put one in now. I'm going to say here. I can choose where I send it. I'm going to send it to everyone who's on the call. I'm going to say, please put your put one of your thoughts here. Thank you. Should be that easy. Hit the return button, and there we go. So I would love you to do it. We have someone with their hand up. It was Ellie Moore. Ellie, I've clicked on your button, please. Do unmute your mic and yes.
Hey, Marius, my chat is disabled. I can't put anything in the chat.
Really? Daniel, could you have a look at that, please? Because
There
nothing's
might be
coming.
a reason, but hey,
Yes, it could be. Well, it could indeed be the reason why no one's contributing. Daniel, could you have a look at that, please? I have no
thank
idea
you.
why chat is disabled. Thank you so much for drawing that
Okay,
to my
thank
attention. Thank you, Ellie. Thank you very much. Well, hopefully, Daniel will try and unlock the chat function for me. In the meantime, guys, I will proceed, and I'm sure we'll. Um, you can keep your thoughts to yourself, or later on, you can put your hands up and give me a little thought of your own. So there we go. Um, so I'll share my darkest fear. I'll share my darkest fear. When I started hearing about these bans on mobile phones or smartphones and then bans on social media until the age of 16, my first thought was, what the hell happens at 16 years plus 1 day? Is there some sort of magic that will happen in the minds of a 16-year-old when they cross that Rubicon? Um, So I'm so concerned. By the way, you can chat to me now. It's all been unlocked. So do leave a comment if you can. I've been so concerned by this because sometimes just banning something isn't necessarily a useful thing. Those young people, if they are unleashed into the world, a world that they're not prepared for, well, that frightens bejesus out of me. I'll be completely honest. And so, what we've tried to do is come up with a module that I hope will unlock and help you unlock this. I'm going to give you a brief overview of these modules now. But again, if you when you get this slide deck and you click on where it says Raw Module 7, you'll go to this overview, so you'll be able to see it. You won't be able to see the content unless you buy it, but of course you'll be able to see how it's put together. And I'll show you it in live course in a moment. At the beginning of the introduction, because it's changing so fast, we have a section which highlights, if you like, the latest content updates. And we did one in June, and you'll see it in a minute. So we're going to try and keep this module as up to date as possible. In 7.1, we want to look at children online today and tomorrow, and we want to explore the key issues. Uh, we want to explore impact and what it's like to grow up digital, the impact of, if you like, the AI explosion, but also help us all to understand that there is such a thing as digital well-being. For some of the older brethren here, and I do put myself in that bracket, although I was going digital quite early in my life for lots of reasons. There's lots of new words, new definitions, and new meanings. So we've got a glossary in there to help you. We try to write something that was future proof, whether your jurisdiction decides to ban or not. As you know, in some areas, such as Australia, there are bans. And isn't it interesting? You sort of ban something from a teenager, and it makes it more how should I say, more forbidden fruity. Let's have a go. There's ways of getting around it, and and also sort of smartphone bans. There are arguments for and against, and whether you are in the for or against camp pre-12 and pre-16, there are arguments laid out. To ban or not to ban, that is the question. We want to explore possibilities here, not do blanket big time decisions. We have a critical section here about why there's a fuss about social media in particular. Um, and as you'll see throughout the module, we have downloadable resources that teachers can use. In 7.3, we are looking at understanding cyberspace. So this gives you a little bit of a view, under the bonnet. Some of you might not have come across the term algorithms as used in cyberspace. Well, we explain that. Um, we explain how these algorithms or these programmed ways of interacting with humans are designed to reel you in, keep you on the platform, keep you from clicking away, and then certain uh, considerations which we do need to understand. Um, the the power and the complexity of distressing content violence, how scamming and phishing is growing, and also, and this is a really subtle and all embracing thing, how content is designed to alter your mood. Playing with your mind, guys, playing with your mind. Not surprisingly, one of the more comprehensive areas is about prevention, protecting yourself and others, how to report malicious incidents, how to deal with harmful and violent content. And sadly, young people say that, well, they tend to teach themselves these days. They teach themselves about how to deal with harmful and violent content. Surely there's a role for us and to be proactive here. How we talk about strategies of avoiding violent content. We help young people develop safe online habits and attitudes. We look at how some people on the internet are talking about taking ownership. They call themselves internet activists. Um, Very critical here how online bystanders can help prevent cyberbullying. A key issue is online misogyny these days, the men's room, and oh my goodness. But also, we look at some of the deep fake controversies that are going on and why it matters. What we have in 7.5 is an array of downloadable lessons, lesson plans, and resources. It was originally designed for children who were affected by migration. We called it to be cyber safe and responsible. But the principles that were in place to protect these young children help with everyone. So there's lessons that are usable from about the age of 8 or 9 up to the age of about 13 or 14 on photoshopping and fake news. What do emojicons mean and how they can manipulate feelings, online safety, etiquette, cyberbullying, what influences Insta, and FOMO, fear of missing out. And then we talk about digital resilience as well. We got an array of resources that are downloadable too. This module is being built. Oops, I've gone too far, too fast. This module is also being built. There's some additional resources in there as well. Now, I'm going to stop my presentation for a moment, and I'm going to go onto the platform and show you what it looks like live. So here we go. Um, this is the live platform view. If you were going onto Raw, you would see something like this. Um, I'm looking just at the Raw module here, preparing young people for a new digital age. It's laid out so that you can see the menu down the left. Those are the modules that you can go to individual lessons just by clicking on them. And where you see a downward arrow here, you can see that under Children Online Today, there are 6 components. And again, you can go to any component with a click of a button, or you can just go through things, how should I say, sequentially, if you so wish. Also, just to show you how live this platform is, there are 2 modules here. One that said, did AI just put words in your mouth? If we were going to go to this module, you will see that it is work in progress. And this content that we've streamed into it, we are going to break up into online learning modules. So you can see work happening in real time because I think you need to know how live this is. And we're also in the process of doing a module within the module on chatbots because chatbots are becoming more and more prevalent these days with great possibilities, but also with some of the more pernicious aspects of online learning. So if we looked at the course overview at the front here, you can see an introductory pane. It always starts off with an introduction. And I'm absolutely honest here. An interesting image there of a child being sort of saturated by by online content. And what I've written is this. Um, the image shows a child alone, probably at night, in a darkened room, online, without digital guardrails or adult supervision, unleashing the content of the internet straight into mind, brain, conscious thought, and unconscious feelings. Images, targeted advertising, malicious content, pornography, violence, misogyny, fake news, identity theft, grooming. Those were the exact words I put into an artificial intelligence machine that generated the image for me. I asked for a particular art style, realistic impressionism, clicked a button, and that's what I got. The power of imagery can never be ignored, but the power of the AI systems that we have under our thumb, if directed, can be incredibly powerful. Now, I can't compete with that sort of thing. It takes me hours to put together PowerPoints. But what I can do is use my knowledge to get AI to shape content in a way that makes it um, generate insights, yeah, motivates goal-oriented behavior, and inspires, if you like, engagement. Okay, so that is an introduction, if you like, which sets the scene for the entire module. Uh, and if we look at the latest content updates, June, 15th of June, oh, look, social media to be banned from under 16s in landmark government move. So, and we put a reflection here, whether you like it or not, that's happening, but maybe, just maybe, there's a more detailed story. And there's other things that appear in that section. So that's some of the material here. Under Children Online today and tomorrow, what we've tried to do is harvest some of the best documents out there because not everybody loves a superficial glance. Of course, you can whiz through this module in 10 minutes, but also what we do is we frame documents, and as you can see, as you put your cursor over it, you can click on a link and boing, you go straight to another website or a downloadable material. That this is about a digital resilience framework that was drawn up by the Council for Internet Safety. So you can download the equipment. Growing up in the digital world, a report back in 2017, still current, still good, by the Children's Commissioner. And it really is an illuminating read, should you wish to take the topic on a little bit further. And all the way through, you get these information pieces that we hope will illuminate you and reason and give you reasons why we are coming to the way we are and the position that we are. And of course, there's something specifically on the AI explosion. We have resources here, which again, you can click on it to go to straight away, and descriptions and also comments that you can access. And of course, a section on digital well-being, what it means and how you can actually understand things from a young person's perspective. So these materials are thorough, they're well researched, and they're growing all the time. How digital content reels you in, really interesting stuff. And of course, these are some of the downloadable lesson plans that you can use and appropriate. Um, there was a time when This meme was circulated. It showed a shark diving to attack a diver from an Italian helicopter. Well, actually, yes, it was photoshopped. Of course, it was photoshopped. But we used that with downloadable documents, with full lesson plans, to, if you like, illuminate the danger of photoshopping, and also other areas. So expressing emotions. We're looking at online safety and its impact on well-being, netiquette and cyberbullying, what it means, and how you can work as a bystander. And we don't call it bystanding these days. We call it upstanding. We look at how we can take on this group bullying that sometimes appears online. I think it's a great resource. I think it'll be really, really useful. And I really do believe that we have something that people are valuing. And those people who have used it and seen it have really taken to it very warmly indeed. We've had some supportive comments come in giving us a top grading. So that gives you a kind of overview of what we would love to work with you. We would love you to learn more. But since you have given up time for this webinar, since you've oops, I've jumped out of it then. I'll just go back to my presentation. Since you've all been so wonderful in your participation today, I'm going to ask you if you would like a present. Some of you online, I noticed from the names, have got this already. But about 2 months ago, we launched this. Parents are wonderful parents. They're just simply feeling overwhelmed by the pace of change. I know, I've talked to them. There's pressure coming from all sides. Some kids just are pressurizing them. Can I have a smartphone? Can I have a smartphone? Can I have a smartphone? No. Um, Others are just doing a blanket bang. They're saying, no, 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 you won't have one till you're 16. Um, but of course, these young people are going to need to know how social media and mobile phones work, because they're going to continue to grow up digitally once they are out of your care. So, Microlink have produced a free guide, an absolutely free guide called Growing Up in a Digital World. It is comprehensive. It has wonderful chapters focused on different age groups, 0 to 5, screen time versus our time, helping 5 to 7-year-olds develop safe habits, supporting 10 to 14-year-olds with mobile devices, advice and guidance from 14 to 16 plus. We have advice on what different types of phone you can get, like child-safe block phones or smartphones, apps and platforms that can be applied and put onto your mobile devices which block content, and also help you with making decisions for yourself. We're delighted about this. If you want a copy, I'm going to put at the end of this webinar my email address into the chat pane. And guys, out there, if you want more information about raising attainment well-being, please, please, please use our contact. And that's Tina Leonardo. Her email address is simply tina@teachingtimes.com. If you'd love a link so you can share this widely with your parents and carers, and remember your your staff are parents and carers too, just contact me for a link, and we would be delighted to share those with you. So I'm going to stop sharing now, and we've got some comments coming in which I'm going to